Well, here we are again. Welcome. This is part 2, and we've done quite a lot of work. So, first of all, we'll start with the body. Now, I've put replacement decals on here, and I've cleaned the body up as much as possible. There was a huge solder mark here, like a melt mark, which I've done my best to remove as much as possible, but of course it's very deep, and you know, there's lots of other scratches on the model and on the bodywork all over the place. So I've buffed it up a bit, but basically just cleaned it, and as you can see, it's incredibly shiny, but that's the way it is. So we've got new decal. Just see if we get focus on that. Yes, we do. I repainted the red in the little ovals. Let's move that over, see if we can see the numbers. Is it going to focus? Don't know. But that's been repainted. And the big news, of course, is the repairs I've done. So first of all, I've made a new bracket on the back here for the rear lamp, and in the process got a splodge of glue down the back of the tender there, but oh well. I may very well try and polish that out a bit. I haven't done that yet. But so I've made the new bracket. As you can see, it's made out of white polystyrene. There's a little sort of triangular piece on that side and a matching triangular piece on that side, and then just a little rectangular block that goes on the back of it. And I'll show you the headlight in a moment. Actually, I'll show you the headlight now. So as you can see, I've done quite a lot of by all the file marks on it. I've had to do a bit of fettling to get it down to the right shape, and it was a bit long, so I had to shorten it a bit. And if this will only focus, please focus. There we go. So and I've glued a square peg on it so that it'll fit into the new bracket that I put on the back of the locomotive. So that needs to be painted. And there's sorry, it's just stuck in there with a bit of blue tack, as you can see. And there's a little clear plastic 3D printed lens to go on the end of it that doesn't look too bad. And let me just grab this and I'll show you that fits into there, into that peg, and it will sit on the back quite well. So we'll just pop that down. And the other thing I've done, of course, is the step, the replacement set of steps, again made out of polystyrene. I had to repair. Wow, this focus is all over the shop. See if we can lock that in, if that helps. I had to repair the existing top step a little bit by gluing a little piece in there. And there's a little tiny kick up on the side. So this is made out of 3 different thicknesses of polystyrene sheet, slightly thicker for the back, slightly thinner for the actual steps, and the little kick ups on the end are made of very thin sheet, and on the back it's just reinforced with a piece of square rod. So it sort of mimics the standard, what the original step was. So that just needs to be painted black. And again, replacement decal, but you know, multiple scratches on here, impossible to get out. Again, I painted the red behind that number, and There we go, that's come out quite good. And I cleaned off the top of it so that the numbers are actually in black. And so, yes, the front glued back together very well. So very pleased with that. So there we go. Now next we have the chassis. So this came out very well. I had to dismantle it all, as I said I was going to do. The motor's perfect. It didn't really require anything other than a decent service. The wheels, they all cleaned up quite well. They were very corroded, these wheels. So I actually had to take the wheels off, and I actually soaked them in vinegar to remove the corrosion. And then, not for very long, an hour or two. It was just very, not very strong vinegar. And then I made up there's a few little chips on the edge there already. I made up a matte black wash, just some water-based matte black enamel, and thinned it right down with appropriate thinners, and just gave the wheels a little wash to make them go black again. And they came out rather well, I think. So that's been done. And also I put the wash over the chassis as well. You can see there's just a thin wash over the chassis. But yes, I'm very pleased with that, and I'll show you it running shortly. And it does run beautifully. So we'll just pop that down there, and we'll continue on with what we're doing. So the first thing I'm going to do, I think, is paint the sections on the body that need to be painted in matte black, and I can put this aside to let it dry, and then I can carry on with the rest of what I need to do. So let me just get this set up. Brush, stirrer, that I want to paint as well. Actually, I wonder, oh no, I'll paint it first and glue it in later. It'll be fine. I'm just going to glue this in. I'm going to glue the headlight into the back of the locomotive just with a bit of PVA just to hold it in. The front headlight actually came out all by itself, so that was rather handy. It wasn't very well attached. And it's attached by a little peg as well, so that just plugs into the front of the locomotive, and I'll glue that in when I do the back one. All right, let's get this paint underway. I'm using Mr. Hobby matte black paint, number 12, just in case anyone's interested. I really like this stuff. I like Mr. Hobby paints. They seem to be very good. Now this is just about empty, this little pot. So hopefully there's enough in there. There should be enough in there just to do what I need to do. Is there any left in here? Oh yes, plenty. Plenty. I'll just give it a little whir around with the stirrer. My brush. Yes, there's hardly any left in this pot, but we'll be all right. Now rinse out. Sorry, there's not going to be any fancy close-ups on this painting. I don't think I'm able to do that. I'll just move this water pot out of the way a little bit. Now, I think I'm going to have to do 2 coats on this. Is this are we in camera? Yes, we are. Let me just shift some of these things out of the way. That's better. Move this further up. just making sure we're in frame there. Okay. Once these steps are painted matte black, you'll never even know that they were replaced. Yes, I have thinned this paint down a little bit, so I'm going to have to do 2 coats on here, which is just as well. 2 thin coats better than 1 thick coat. So I'll get this painting done, and then I can set this aside, and it can be drying when I'm fixing the rest of the components. Right, I think we've got a decent coat on that. That should be fine. They'll dry really quickly. Now I'll do the bracket at the back. Without touching the step in the process. Oh, it's always so difficult. Again, this will just disappear once it's been coated a few times and it's all dry. Should have painted this bit first, I think. And of course I'm wearing magnifying goggles, so one of the things I noticed about magnifying goggles is that they make you make the most horrific parallax errors, and unless you're very, very careful, you end up putting paint where you don't want it to. Where you don't want it to be. Now, keeping fingers away from the steps. Okay. I don't think I've missed any bits there. Oh yes, I have. Mind you, that's going to be hidden anyway. I'm going to glue the headlight in, the back and the front ones, with PVA, so it'll glue to the paint quite well, and you know, it's not going to be under any great strain. Alright, so that's done. Will it just sit upside down all by itself? Yes, it will. Now, I'll just pop that there for a moment, and we'll just paint the headlight. Get rid of all the file marks and what have you, and hopefully fill up some of the 3D printing texture. But you know, matte black is the it will hide a multitude of sins, so it should be fine. Oh, parallax error perfectly demonstrated there. I don't know whether anyone else has the trouble with parallax errors that I do, but I certainly do. I think when that dries, I don't think I'll need a second coat. I think that's pretty good. Excellent. Just wash the brush out. These are sable brushes I bought at great expense. I tried to get the best sable brushes I could possibly find. They're very hard to find. Apparently there's some problem getting sable out of the USSR. Oh, the USSR. Out of, shows you what generation I come from, out of Russia. So, you know, we'll see how we go. All right, that's in a closed peg. And I'll put these over the other side of the room. Just one moment. Okay, let's get this lid back on the paint before it all evaporates. And, oh, why isn't that going on? Is that in? Yes, it is. Okay. I'll pop that over there. I'll just get this out of the way. Now, what I thought I'd show you is the, I took a photograph of the whole thing dismantled. So here's the level of dismantling I had to do. So, yeah, everything apart. I didn't take the centre wheels out, although I'm not sure, I may have done. No, I think I left them in the chassis. These wheels here, I did take the axles out of those, so I had to completely redo the quartering, which, as you all know, is a absolute joy. But you know, it worked out in the end. So it was the only way to do it. I had to completely dismantle it and put it all back together. Now we came to the problem of the trucks. I realised that we had a bit of a problem with the trucks. Now, you may think that that noise is just caused by the flanges hitting on the top of the sleeper chairs, but no, this is Super 4 track, so that's not going to happen, and the flanges aren't that bad anyway. What it is the wheels are faulty, and I will show you. Okay, let's see if we can get a close-up on this. Are we going to get focus? Come on, camera. There we go. Let's have a look here. See, on the wheels, you can see those little dents. There's a little dent on each wheel everywhere that there's a spoke. These are really early wheels because of the number of spokes on them. They've got fewer spokes than the later wheels. And as you can see, those little dents line up perfectly with the spokes. Now, and see, this one's really bad on the back. And of course, they're little bumps. Every time they go along the track, they make the wheels go bumpity, bumpity, bump. So in the first video, I was all terribly excited because I'd managed to find the bogey screws, and I was all excited that I didn't have to wait to get the new screws from the UK. And I thought, oh, fantastic, I can just put it all together. Then I discovered these these wheels are all horrible and old, and it's a real shame because I quite like the fact that it has the really early wheels, and I was hoping to leave them on there. But anyway, that was not to be. So, but help was at hand. There is an internet seller who sells brand new, these are brand new, bogey wheels and axles. These are the later type, and so I'm hoping that I can just change them over now on camera. And what's the guy's name? Antwalte, Antwalte, something like that. and he sells a whole lot of stuff on eBay, and a UK seller, but very reasonable prices, and he does combine postage. So I bought these wheels and a whole bunch of other things as well, and you know, save the day, and they're absolutely unused. Let me get the packet open. If I can do that, hang on a second. Sometimes it's so hard to get the ends of these little bags open. Oh, good grief, come on. Here we go. I'll just tip those out. And as you can see, I'll put those against my hand, maybe we'll get better focus. It seems to be doing marvellous focus on my fingers and my dried old thumbnails and my old hands, but anything else that you actually want to focus on, it doesn't seem to do it. But anyway, they're very new, they've never been on the track. Can we at least focus on the black wheel instead of everything else? Anyway, you'll have to take it from me. Oh, I just dropped it on the floor. No, it's not. It's there. So there. Anyhow, so they're done. And so I've got to take the old wheels off and put those on. I've got two sets, one for the front truck and one for the back truck. And we'll see how we go. I probably won't torment you by doing both of these. I'll probably just do one. So hopefully these will just come straight off. Oh yeah. Well, that was easy enough done. All right, let's get those old ones out of the way. In there. We'll take these ones off as well. It's such a shame. I was really hoping to use the old original wheels, just, you know, because it's an old chassis and it has the Mark II couplings and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, it can't be helped because these wheels are absolutely useless. Now, oh, they just push on by hand. Oh, that's so easy. I don't even have to hammer them in. Now, I'll just check the gauge, make sure they're all right on the track. Oh no, a little bit tight. How far off are we? Okay. It's amazing, it takes so little. It can be just a matter of 0.5 millimetre between being too tight and not tight enough. That's the back-to-back I'm talking about. Just trying those on the track. That's fine. This is going to be easy, much easier than I anticipated. Should just be able to push those on. All right, and through there, and this one. I can't believe how easy these push on. These wheels must be made of a slightly softer plastic. They feel quite pliable, so I hope they don't all split. Bit more maybe. Interesting. Maybe there's a slight, oh no, I was going to say there might be a slight difference in the axles. I'll try this slightly harder. Where's an old wheel? That'll do. I suppose I should check that they're the same size. Oh yes, they are. Talk about after the horse is bolted. Ah, that's better. Seems fairly tight on the bogie. Anywho, might just ease that off a fraction. Anyway, you get the general gist of it. So I'll finish doing these wheels and we'll come back. So let's see if she works. And we'll go back again. We'll send around the layout. Perfect. All right, we'll come back when the body's all dried and painted and all put back on. All right, let's get the body back onto the chassis. So we'll just talk about how all this went. The stairs are all painted. I did them in matte black eventually and then realised that it was a bit matte given that the body is so shiny. So I put a, just get some focus on there. I put a semi-gloss varnish on them. It's very difficult with the lighting to see actually what's going on there. So that step worked out really well. I don't think it'd be easy to pick that from the other one. The headlight, let's get some focus on there. And the headlight bracket. Don't know if you can see that. Let me get that down here, that's better. Get some light on it. And are we going to get any focus? Maybe. What's it focusing on? It's focusing on the chassis. There we go. So the headlight's all on and mounted. and I've put in the 3D printed lenses, which are, you know, pretty milky, but they look all right. And as you can see, the headlight looks pretty good on there. That's all semi-gloss varnished as well. And the one on the front, again, just get focus, 3D printed lens in there. You can see they're quite shiny. So after I filed them down and smoothed them off and got them to the right shape to fit into the standard headlight, I actually used, I think it's one of those water effects, clear water effects things. I think it's Vallejo, I'm not sure. But I just put a blob on the front of each lens, and it just made it a little bit shiny, as you can see there. And so I think it's come out quite good. And I'm very pleased with the steps. So that's made a huge difference. So, all right, let's get it all back together. Okay, here we go. One of the things I did for this is that when the screw goes through the top of the chimney and then into the front here of the chassis through the middle of the cylinder block, but there's no spacer between here and there. And so if you over tighten the screw, it's very easy to sort of squash the body down onto the chassis. So I thought, oh, maybe it should have a spacer. But anyway, I made one. I made one out of a section of pen barrel, as you do, biro barrel, and I just needed a piece of cylindrical plastic with a hole down the middle of it. And so I cut it to the right length and then filed it down and just gradually snuck up on it until I got exactly the right fit. So let's get this put back together. Hopefully this will be easy. I should take the bogies off, I suppose, but I can't be bothered. There we go. And drop the front in. Oh, I didn't put the... Having just talked about the plastic tube, of course I haven't bothered to put it in. Gosh, I'm a genius. Hang on a minute. Let's start that all over again. So we put the bolt through there, and then we pop that on there. And I am going to have to take these bogies off, the trucks off. It's just going to make it easier because they're flopping around and it's driving me crazy. Oh, and I did end up retapping the holes. I bought an 8BA tap, and it's just the tiniest, cutest little thing you've ever seen. And but it made quite a difference. So I actually chased all the threads in all the holes on the chassis, and because I didn't really trust what had been put in there. And so everything just runs in beautifully now. Let me just get these apart. That's better. Now, while that's on there, we can hook this into the back of the body and hook that on there, and with any luck we should be able to screw that down. There we go. And now it doesn't squash the body shell. I'll just take that off a bit. Just nip it up. That's better. Now I'll just make sure I've got it all hooked in properly. Okay. Those hooks at the back, where the chassis hooks into the body, there's a great deal of wear in the back of the body here, so I'm going to have to watch that. They may actually have to be rebuilt, so I've just sort of pushed the body back a bit, and I'll give that another tighten. just to make sure that that's all good and solid. Yeah, it still wobbles around a bit, but that's okay. And yes, you can see the screw poking out through the bottom there. So let's get these back on. Just put on my magnifying goggles because I can't see a thing without them. Actually, let's do this even more properly. I'll get this the support, the sponge support. This is an idea that Double O Bill put me onto. In Australia, these things are called dog bone sponges for obvious reasons. And you just buy them anywhere. This is a very old, worn-out one that used to be used for washing the car years ago. And they're perfect. You just cut a slot out of the middle of them and you can just put things in there and they're perfect. So thank you, Double O Bill. It's one of the most handy things that I've learned from anyone. Now, let's get this together. There we go. Yes, thank heavens I chased these threads out because these things really go in nicely now. There we go. That's that one. And this one will be a little bit easier, hopefully. There we go. Okay. Well, this is marvellous. It's the first time I've ever seen it all together. So let's get rid of the dog bone sponge. I'll pop that over there. And so there she is, all together. The great big, what is it, 464. So, all right, let's get it onto the track. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see how we go. We'll just reverse her up. And hopefully hook up with that rake of, which we didn't. Oh, you got to love Mark II couplings. Let's try that again. Right, coupling sorted out. Let's try that again. So there we go. She's a runner. And very quiet. No XO4 motor noise. It's amazing. Some of them are noisy, some of them are quiet. It's just the luck of the draw. And this one sounds fantastic. And I haven't really done anything to it except clean it and oil it and service it. So I'm very, very pleased. So there we go. Mission accomplished. I have an R56 Baltic tank at last. There were a couple of things that I needed to correct from the part one of this series when I was reading off the label that came with the locomotive. On the label it said this is one of 16,000, which is true, but 16,000 is the worldwide production of them. This is the Australian-made version, so it's one of 4,225, to be precise, made in Australia. This is all according to Pat Hammond's book. And they were all produced at Moldex Plastics. In fact, they're one of the first locomotives produced at Moldex Plastics, and they were made between 1958 and 1961, which makes me think this is, because it's got the Mark II couplings, this is the 1958 version, and it still doesn't have the brass safety valves, so I don't know what's going on there, but anyway. And all but 1,000 of them were made in the first 2 years, so they must have sold reasonably well for the first 2 years, and then for the final 2 years of their being on sale, they didn't sell that many of them. And there's a maroon and black version, which is very hard to find, but the English one was moulded in maroon plastic and had black paint applied to the front of it. But the Australian version was moulded in black, and the maroon part was painted on, was spray painted on, so exact opposite of the English one. So there's a bit of trivia for you. So it's one of 4,225, not one of 16,000. Anyway, there we go.